Hello everyone, I'm Greg, head of Imunify360 product. Today is the 3rd of April and we are conducting the second webinar on Imunify product updates. So what we have for today? Firstly, I'm going to tell you about a recent product release, which is 4.6. Secondly, we are going to discuss Imunify360 version 4.7. And lastly, we will have questions and answers section. So I will answer your questions about the latest or upcoming version or about the product itself. Okay, let's talk about version 4.6. It's already available for installation, yet still in the gradual release process. We had to release some updates and it took a bit more time to release it to 100%, so it's still in the gradual release process. But we provided a command which allows you to install it right away. So if you want to get it right away, just run a command from the release notes. So we specified how to install it from the production repository. Version 4.6 includes two new features. One is SMTP Traffic management, and the second one is enhanced malware scanner verdicts. I'll show more information regarding them on the next slides. Also, we reduced system load and optimized memory usage, and let's check them one by one. The first one would be SMTP Traffic management. We've been receiving a lot of requests regarding blocking SMTP traffic. This feature provides more control over SMTP traffic. It's now possible for an admin to redirect mail traffic to the local MTA, block it completely, or keep it available for local mails only. Admins can also block particular ports and whitelist specific users and groups for outgoing mail. You might be familiar with cPanel block SMTP functionality. This feature extends it with more control and capabilities and replaces similar functionality from CSF. As a new feature, it has been marked as experimental, as we usually do, and disabled by default. So if you want to start using it, please go to the UI or run a CLI command to enable it. In the latest version, we've introduced a new collaboration between malware scanner, web application firewall, and proactive defense modules. They are now working together to minimize threat caused by the detected but not yet cleaned malware. Web application firewall, proactive defense are using the output from malware scanner, block access to the standalone malware until it's cleaned up. Whereas the proactive defense prevents those standalone files from inclusion into some other, often legitimate PHP files. And also proactive defense has special rules to prevent new malware drops, which stops reinfections. The rules in the WAF and the proactive defense are enabled by default, so you should not do anything to start get benefits from it. It's working by default. We've been asked about the verdicts or so-called reasons of detected malware. Now we have a human-readable version of the reasons, as well as well-documented help on the docs.imunify360.com about the notations and malware category and types. On the slide, you can see the format of these verdicts, so you can read what it means, what type of malware have been detected, so you can see what you have in the report. Traditionally, we are focusing on resource usage optimization, and in this version, we reduced file system load during the real-time scan. We added an experimental feature, which is called Optimize Real-Time Scan. Another resource usage optimization is related to memory consumption. We saved up to 30 megabytes of RAM in the SSL caching module, which is quite okay. Yeah. And overall, more than 100 tasks were completed with 18 fixed issues. Now it's time to move on to the second part of the webinar, the upcoming release version 4.7. It's already released in beta, so I invite you kindly to check it out and provide some feedback on the release. We were working on a better resource usage control, new defaults in the malware scanner, and WordPress admin account protection. Before this version, we used nice IONICE to control scan intensity, which is basically CPU and IOPS load, but you probably know that IONICE is supported by the CFQ scheduler only. Thus, if you don't have it in the system, IONICE is not available. But on the Cloud Linux operating system, we can use LVE to control scan intensity. We can adjust CPU load, IOPS, and even IO throughput. So ultimately, you can get full control over the resources during the scan process on the Cloud Linux operating system. So now you can, if you are running Cloud Linux OS, you can control it more accurately, and these sliders will specify the level of intensity more accurately. We also decided to change the defaults for the new installation of Imunify360, so the existing setup won't be affected. We changed default scan intensity level to minimum, enabled background scan by default once per month, enabled default action upon malware detection to clean up, and enabled an option for safe malware cleanup to trim instead of removal. Which means the file will be truncated rather than removed if it's completely malicious. So if the file is not malicious, if it's just an injection into the legitimate file, this injection will be removed carefully, and the rest of the file will remain intact. So the website will be operational and running well. With those settings, the malware scanner is significantly more effective and keeps the server malware-free. Now we are going to talk about the new WordPress anti-brute force feature, and there will be some theory and statistics. Well, you probably know that one of the easiest ways to hack into the user account is to guess the WordPress admin password. It's called brute force attack. Bad guys run software that uses a dictionary with thousands of popular passwords, weak passwords, and try it one by one until get access to the WordPress admin panel. After that, they go to the theme editor, so they get admin access to the WordPress panel. Then they go to the theme editor and inject a piece of malicious code, which is called backdoor. I put an example on the slide, and once it's saved, the attacker can utilize it and execute any arbitrary command on the system. So this is the example. For example, they can drop a web shell, remove user data, inject some other malicious code, and so on. So usually it leads to the entire user account compromise and infection, and for all websites on the account. So it's quite dangerous, and as you can imagine, it may affect server security. For example, if the attacker can execute privilege escalation flow, then, well, the server gets rooted. In the Imunify360, we've been blocking the WordPress brute force attacks for a long time, and the monitoring shows that the number of attacks is increasing. So without the protection, a lot of hacks happens during the day, and it's a huge problem now. So we have to do something, but the main question is how we can prevent those attacks. Apparently, we have to force WordPress admin to stop using the trivial or well-known passwords from the hacker's dictionary, such as 12345, admin, test, or password 123. Otherwise, hackers or bots already know it, and in most cases, they are already inside, so they know that access and they are using it and keep hacking it every day via bots. So yeah, we see that all the time. Thus, we need to block access to the admin panel until the password is changed. And the password must be changed to any other which is not in the dictionary of well-known passwords. This is what the feature actually does. Once enabled, it checks the password used to log into the admin account of WordPress, takes the user to the alert page, which by the way is resided on the separate Imunify domain, and there will be alert message, explanation, and requirement to reset the password. When the user clicks the button, he's taken to the WordPress password reset page on the original domain. So the REST flow is the same like in WordPress. Common WordPress flow is used to reset the password. The feature is experimental and disabled by default. Also, it's based on ModSec rule, which could be disabled on a per domain basis. So in case of any issues, you can disable it either completely or for specific domain. Yeah, so yeah, it's safe for that. And this is pretty much everything I'd like to talk about. And on the last slide, I compiled the list of useful links. By the way, we added a new section on the blog, which lists published articles. So you can easily find them all in this section. Please check them. There are a lot of useful articles on security and best practices how to start using Imunify360. Thank you very much for watching, and now it's time for your questions. Okay, the first question is, I was contacted by BitNinja saying that they had detected sources from one of my server IPs. This was not found by Imunify AV. Could you tell me why Imunify was not successful in finding this issue? It was port 5555, constantly scanning outside IPs. I think the major problem might be in running process, which could be run from root, for example. So if the server got hacked by SSH, for example, using SSH brute force attack, then the malicious file could be uploaded via SSH and run. So far we cannot detect that running process in memory, and that's why we didn't detect it. So for example, for all processes that are run from user, we can detect them because they will be located in the home folder of user, and they will be scanned both by real-time scanner and by on-demand scanner, and also if the file was uploaded by for example, some content management system by PHP script, then it will be scanned also by upload engine, which is part of ModSec, which is part of the web application firewall. Can you provide command line options? Unfortunately, I cannot write it right away, like in the chat window, but we have comprehensive documentation which is located on docs.imunify360.com, and it has a dedicated section which is called command line interface. Everything is there. So in case you cannot find something, please reach out to myself, or you can submit help desk ticket so we can help you to find the particular command. Otherwise, well, you can just write an email to feedback@imunify360.com, and I will provide you with that command. Yeah, because it's hard to understand what kind of command you need, and it depends on the particular situation. So just please explain what you need and we will provide the right command to run. When the cleanup option is enabled as a default action, does it remove a file or remove malware from a file? We are using the safest way to clean up file. It depends on the type of malware, and so we choose the different approach to clean up the file. If the entire file is malicious, for example, if it's web shell, then we can either remove file completely or we can truncate the file. So it depends on the option you choose, because we have settings which is called trim instead of removal. If it's enabled, then the file will be truncated instead of removed, because it's safer. And if this file is included into another file, then the website won't be broken after cleanup. So it's more safe to use that option enabled. And if, for example, the malware is injection into legitimate file, then it will be safely removed, exactly that piece of malicious code, and the rest part will remain the same. So if it was a valid, syntaxically valid file, then it will continue working and the website remains operational. My Imunify keeps freezing and support can't seem to find the problem. My WordPress sites are still getting infected and I cannot stop them. So it depends again on the configuration of Imunify360. It's very sad to hear that support cannot help you. I think I can help, but I need some at least number of this Zendesk ticket. So please contact me and I will figure out what we can do with it. So we need to look into that and look into that particular case. But I'm pretty sure that we can help to optimize settings so it will work perfectly on your configuration. Because the majority of customers are happy to have Imunify and it's running well even on weak servers like weak VPS with 1 gigabyte RAM and 1 CPU core. So yeah, I think it's something with configuration of Imunify360. When Imunify blocks the WordPress admin because of a simple password, how can the user change his password? The user can use general flow, which is called reset password. So in the login form, there is a link which is called password reset. Then user is taken to the password reset page, and the new password will be sent to the email, as far as I know, or the activation link will be sent to the email. And once clicked, the user gets the user is taken to the page where he can specify a new password. So basically, the general flow is like this. So user can go to the password reset page, which is general page of WordPress. So in case of Imunify360 use, user will be automatically taken to that page. So no need to find the URL and open this page separately. In general case, like in common situation, user can go to the login form and find the link under the login form in the WordPress. How can the user reset his WordPress password after it has been blocked by Imunify? we don't block functionality of WordPress. So if user is on the password reset page, the rest will be like general flow. So he can click the links, he can submit the form, and using this flow, he can reset his password to a new one. So nothing will be changed in this case, and everything remains the same. So we don't block access to the WordPress. We just block the login process if weak password is used in this request. Because user shouldn't know the password and shouldn't be logged in to the WordPress panel to reset the password. He can do it outside the panel itself. So using just a special flow, which is a part of WordPress. So he can just click the link and follow these steps to reset the password, get some link on the registered email, confirm this action, and then specify a new password. That's it. Can we get any more detail on how Imunify detects WordPress attacks? We are having a lot of WP login attacks on shared hosting recently, and this prevents these attacks? First of all, we have a lot of mod security rules that protects against attacks that are common to WordPress websites. We have RBL as part of mod security that blocks a lot of bot requests. We have proactive defense that protects against hacked WordPress themes. And also, we now have this new feature that protects WordPress admin panel. So we have like 4 components, 4 different components, or 4 different features, and all of them can protect against different type of attacks, including this WP login brute force attack. So you need just to enable proactive defense. You need to enable this feature to protect brute force attack going against this login, WordPress login, and with simple passwords. And by default, you already have RBL enabled, which protects against the majority of requests coming from bots. And also you have mod security that prevents your websites from hacking, and because it has a lot of different rules that protects against different type of attacks coming to WordPress websites. It would be good to see in the roadmap something that learns from the other servers using Imunify AV. For example, if you have 2000 servers running on it and server 1 is being attacked by an IP address, then all servers inherit the rule to block the offending IP, enabling capture for users being that IP. Partially it's implemented. So we have heuristics that analyze different sources. So we accumulate a lot of IP addresses coming from different sources from the customer installation base. And we see that there are some attacks happening on part of our servers. So we try to prevent those attacks on another servers, and we create dynamically new rules and add those bad IP addresses to the RBL. So in general, it's already a part of Imunify360 ecosystem. So we have correlation server, we have cloud-based security with heuristics, and it's already there. So we can identify the threats and dynamically create heuristics that protects against those type of attacks. Also, we can share blacklisted IP addresses. So basically, you can go to the UI and see that if your server is part of group, and the group could be created in the CLN, then you can specify particular IP address and assign it to the group. So this IP address, which is blacklisted, it will be propagated across all servers in this group. So you can share it across this group of servers, and the group is managed inside the CLN. So you can create a group and add your servers there, then see a new control in the UI to propagate this blacklisted IP address across this group. So the first part is done automatically, and the second part could be managed manually. Will those new features be applied on a direct admin with Cloud Linux installation, or it's only for cPanel? So some of them are for cPanel only. Let me check. So, for example, if you're running Cloud Linux source, it will be applied, like intensity level will be applied across all installation which has Cloud Linux operating system. Regarding the WordPress anti-brute force feature, it will be available everywhere as well, because it's part of mod security, so it will be supported on the direct admin too. What else we have? So like optimization is also available everywhere, so pretty much everything is available on the direct admin too. So we didn't limit it to the cPanel. Okay, previous question mentioned a website scanning outgoing port 555. Do you have any update on when Imunify360 will be able to block all outgoing ports except those authorized? Yeah, very good question. And we have the feature which is called port management. It will be available. So far, we are planning it for 4.9, and it will include two modes. The first mode is like we have now. So everything is opened and the rest will be like the specified port will be closed. And the new feature will support the opposite approach, when you can block everything and whitelist or open particular ports. So it will cover that case. So you can switch to the block everything except the specified ports, and that will resolve that issue. Would the protection feature for WordPress also be usable for contact forms to prevent spamming via unprotected forms? It's not related to the forms, it's related to the process of login to the WordPress admin panel. But for the contact form protection, we have several mod security rules also included in this release, and we have RBL that prevents requests coming from bots. So they block requests coming from different malicious IP addresses. So we know them and we block them, and it protects against web spam. So they cannot get to the website and publish anything in the using forms. Is it planned that Imunify360 supports Cloud Linux 8 and CentOS 8 in the next time? Yeah, we are planning it for release version 4.8, so it's gonna be soon, like in the next release, and we are working on that right now, so it will be supported soon. Is there a message that the WordPress password was changed by Imunify? No, there will be no messages, and we don't change anything because it's completely up to user how to specify it and how to reset password. So we don't want to change, we don't want to be a part of that flow. We just block access and show that now you are using too weak password and you are already hacked. So it's up to user to use reset link and specify a new password. We don't change password automatically, and we don't want to change it because otherwise there is no way to pass that new password to the user. It's quite challenging, and it's better not to do that. The next one, do you plan to offer an Imunify security plugin for WordPress? Lightspeed web server, for example, offers a caching plugin for WordPress, which is developed directly by Lightspeed. So the caching plugin is optimized for the Lightspeed web server. A good question, thank you. We thought about that before, and maybe we will plan it like for the end of this year, but so far we don't have any plans regarding the plugin development because we want to deliver the best solution that we are doing right now and focus on the security of Imunify360 to deliver the best what we can do. And given that we want to also like save resources for that and be focused, so far we delayed that, we postponed the implementation of that plugin, but we thought about that, and yes, maybe later this year or at the beginning of the next year we will get back to this idea and implement something for WordPress, because we've got a lot of ideas what we can propagate to the WordPress dashboard from Imunify, how to reach end user and specify that something is wrong. For example, that WordPress installation is infected, or we know that the user is using outdated plugins, or that the user is using cracked themes. So we can tell that to user, but so far, unfortunately, we are. It's not a part of roadmap, and it's planned for the future. When does Imunify add a SSH brute force attack from an IP get added to the gray list? I see over an hour the same IP trying SSH brute forcing about 10-20 times over each hour. We have a special feature which is called PAM module for SSH. You can enable it if you are using cPanel installation. You can enable it, and you will see the effect, positive effect of this, because this feature, it was introduced in version 4.6, oh, not 4.5, sorry, and yeah, it's working now. You can enable it and see that it can protect against this particular type of attacks. So it's specifically for protection against brute force attacks going against SSH. So it's for SSH and SMTP. Yeah, and later we will add it for FTP. So far, FTP is not supported. How do we upgrade? I cannot find a way to upgrade in the UI. So you should not do it from the UI. We have command line to upgrade. So you just run the command. The command is usually specified in the release notes. So just please go to the blog.imunify360.com, and it has announcement of new release. Just go to this post and see the command to upgrade. Another way is to go to the documentation, which is located on the docs.imunify360.com, and it has installation section. so you will find the command there. You could either update to the beta version or to the latest available production version. So just using this CLI command. Can I report a compromised website which was not detected by Imunify directly to Imunify? Sure, you can report. The easiest way is to use our help desk system. So just send it to support, or if you couldn't find another way, like you can just send it to feedback@imunify360.com and I will pass it to our malware analysts, so they will figure out what's wrong with the website, and if, for example, it wasn't detected as compromised or something wasn't detected, then they will add new signatures, they will update malware database and release it. Could you add a real-time detection chart to the dashboard? Yeah, we can add it, and we are planning some redesign of dashboard. I think it will be done at the end of the second quarter, something late summer, and it will have more charts with different information, including real-time scans. Any page where we can see a list of the new features. We usually release everything as release notes, so you can read the details on each release in the blog. Our blog is blog.imunify360.com, so please go there and see. We have a lot of posts related to the release announcements, and there for all major releases like 4.6, 4.7, we always have details with the list of features and how to enable them, so you can find it there. Unfortunately, we don't have the full list on one page, so just curious, why do you need that? I mean, we have some features described on the website, imunify.com, and you can find it there. Otherwise, well, if you need that something specific or in some specific format, please reach out to me and I will provide it to you. Okay, if you need something to present to your customers, then we can help with that. Please contact our sales team or drop me an email and I will provide any information just to support you, and that will include all features and description for your customers. So we can provide that. We have, as far as I know, we have dedicated section on website for our partners. So if you are a partner, you can go there and download a brochure, download white papers, and download all materials from there. If you are not a partner, just let us know and we will help with that. We will provide that information for you. Okay, I don't see any new questions, so thank you all for participation. Thank you for great questions, and see you next time. Thank you, and thanks for choosing Imunify360. Bye.